What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to learn the frontside 50-50. Now, I would suggest learning frontside 50-50s sometime shortly after learning backside board slides. Front 50s are the easiest, arguably the easiest of all grind tricks, so most likely the first grind trick that you'll want to learn. Now, obviously, I'm going to be teaching the street version of the 50-50, which requires you to be able to ollie. So make sure you got those ollies down. Now, your ollie doesn't have to be super high. It only needs to be as high as the obstacle you're learning to 50-50 on. I would definitely suggest learning on something shorter than I'm skating here. There are a few preliminary practice measures that you can take before actually learning the frontside 50 that are going to help make it easier for you. First, you want to make sure that you can ollie forward while riding parallel to something like a crack on the ground. You want to be sure that you can ollie forward over it, like this. Practice this. You need to be able to ollie over something this way. Once you've mastered that last step, it's time to actually start practicing ollieing onto something in the 50-50 position. I would suggest something very short like this thing I'm skating here, or even more ideally, a curb. A very short curb is really the perfect place to practice ollieing in to the 50-50 position. And if you're not all that confident yet, you can even practice on soft ground like this. You can find the edge of some concrete somewhere where some grass is. You can practice ollieing from that up into the 50-50 position. Now, once you've mastered all those preliminary steps, it's time to actually start trying to grind the trick. Let's talk briefly about foot placement for the 50-50. There are two kinds of foot placement involved in a grind or slide trick. The first is the position your feet are in before popping to do the trick. For the 50-50, that position is exactly the same as an ollie. So there's no need to go into any detail there. You already know exactly how to ollie. So just set your feet up just like that when you're doing an ollie into the 50-50 position. The other foot position is the position your feet should be in whilst grinding. I think here the best way to show you this is just with a visual example. So check out where my feet are. You want to land with your toes hanging at least partly off the toe side edge of your board. Otherwise, if you have too much of your foot or your weight on the heel side of your board, you're going to slip off the edge of the ledge and not be able to grind. You want to put the weight of your toes onto sort of the toe side wheels of your skateboard. That's one of the ways that you stay locked into the grind. Now, that being said, you do want to land with your feet somewhere in the neighborhood of the bolts of your skateboard. You don't want one of your feet way back on the tail. You don't want your feet close together in the middle of the board. There isn't a lot to say here. It's very natural to land with your feet in a comfortable sort of wide position when doing the 50-50. And that is about where they should be. Now, if you land with your feet correctly, and you land with enough speed, and the obstacle you're skating has enough wax, and it's grindable, make sure those two things are true of it. Make sure you've waxed it. Make sure it's something that's actually grindable. If you have all those requirements checked off, more than likely you're going to grind. You may not be able to complete the grind, though, because any number of factors might be going wrong. So let's talk about those. First, you may be sliding sort of around front side or back side and sliding off of the ledge. You may not be grinding straight like you want to. And the problem here most likely is going to lie with your shoulders. Like with so many tricks in skateboarding, your shoulders are so important. You want to keep them very parallel with the obstacle. Look how straight my shoulders are. Look how parallel they are with the ledge. Make sure that you're not opening your shoulders up towards the direction that you're riding. Make sure that they're very straight, very much lined up with the ledge or the rail. If you're still having trouble with this, despite trying really hard to keep your shoulders straight, one little tip that might help you is for you to take your eyes while you're grinding and look at your toes on your back foot. Try to keep your gaze focused on the toes of your back foot for as long as you can until you come off of the ledge or the rail. And this is going to help you keep your shoulders parallel if you're having trouble with it. Or it may help you. I hope it helps you. It helps me sometimes. Once you're grinding and your shoulders are staying pretty much straight and parallel with the ledge and you're completing the whole grind, the last step is for you to get out of the 50-50 grind. And the way that you do this is very simple. You simply favor your weight on your back foot. It's not even like a leaning back. It's not like doing a manual. It's really just shifting most of your body's weight onto your back foot, sort of at the end of the ledge. If you can ride off of a curb without your front wheels hitting the ground first, then you can come off of the 50-50. It's the same feeling as riding off of a curb. It's like a tiny little manual-like motion. If you can do that, if you can ride off a curb, then as long as you can grind the trick and your shoulders aren't messing with you, I don't think you should have much trouble coming out of the 50-50. So just remember, keep those shoulders parallel. If you're having trouble with that, take a look at the toes of your back foot and keep your gaze locked there. You want to put most of your body's weight onto the toe side edge of your board once you get into the 50-50 grind, and you do want your toes hanging off the toe side edge a bit. When you get to the end of the ledge, give it a tiny little lift, just like riding off a curb, and there you have it. That's the 50-50. Now, as you probably realize, you can do a 50-50 on a ledge or a bench like I've done throughout most of this video, but you can also do them on rails, and so I want to say a few things about the differences between doing them on rails and ledges. Now, fundamentally, the technique is the same. If you can 50-50 a ledge or a bench, then you can do it on a rail. The only thing stopping you is the psychology of it, just the belief that it's different, but it's really not that different. There's really only one tiny little difference when it comes to doing a rail as opposed to a ledge or a bench, and that is the thing about keeping the weight over the toe side edge of your board. If you're skating a ledge or a bench, your toe side wheels have something to rest against, but on a rail that's not the case. So when you're doing a 50-50 on a rail, you actually don't want to put so much of the weight on your toes, sort of hanging off the toe side edge as you would on a ledge. You want to shift more of your body's weight, in fact, onto your heels rather than your toes when doing a 50-50 on a rail as opposed to a ledge. Keep that small adjustment in mind, and I promise you 50-50s on rails, even on round rails, are not really that much harder than 50-50s on ledges. It's the same fundamental technique. Alright, you guys, I think that pretty much covers it for the front side 50-50. I really hope this video helps you learn. If you have any questions or you're having problems that I didn't address in the video, be sure to drop those down in the comments below. Let me know if there are any trick tips that you want me to do, any tricks that I haven't done that you would like to see covered on the channel. I upload every Thursday evening as of now. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more educational skateboarding content. Until next time, keep shredding.